I was chatting with a potential overflow mastermind client in my direct messages, and a phrase that she said, we were voice memoing back and forth, and she said, all money is money, but not all money is made equal. And that phrase, it's been a few weeks now since she said that in our direct message conversation, and it has just stuck with me. And I think in the online space, we often hear like, oh, just do one-on-one coaching and you only need a few clients. And, that's the way to hit X amount of money that you're going to make per month. Or, just create a course and set up a funnel and you're going to be able to make passive income, or just create, like whatever offer it is. Everyone is selling you a different offer that they think is the best way to scale to, 10K months, 20K months, 50K months, whatever it is that goal is that you have. And I think that all of that is great, but I don't think that all money is made equal, and I think there is always a trade-off. And so I want to create this episode just to talk about that briefly and really open your eyes to the fact that there is no one best way to scale. And that is exactly what the conversation was that I was having with her. She was saying to me, like, I love the way that you make money. She said, I've made $70,000 months, I've made $80,000 months, but at a really high cost. And that's not what I desire anymore. And what I find interesting though is like that cost to her was having a really full calendar. She has kids, she wants to spend more time with those kids. She wants to have more spaciousness in her calendar. And a lot of what she was doing was like sales calls to, book these high ticket clients. And then she was hopping on a lot of calls with these high ticket clients. And so her calendar was filled with a lot of calls. And that really is the cost of doing one-on-one coaching at a high level, right? And it's not to say that like you can't have a balance there. That's not the case. But I want to talk about the cost of things. And really there is a trade-off, and you really have to weigh the pros and cons for your own life. I was chatting with a potential overflow mastermind client in my direct messages just a few weeks ago, and we were voice memoing back and forth. And something that she said has stuck with me so deeply that I am creating a whole podcast episode about it. And it's a phrase that she said. She said, all money is money, but not all money is made equal. And she said, I love the way that you make money with life in mind. She said, I've made $70,000 months, I made $80,000 months, but at a cost. And she said, I don't want that anymore. She said, I want a different way to build a business. And it really just made me think about how in business there is a trade-off for everything. And you really have to, as the business owner and just as a human being, had to take a step back and really weigh the pros and cons of how to build your business with your life in mind and the vision that you have for your life, because it's going to look different for everyone. And I also think that it's going to look different in different seasons. Like different offers that have supported me through, like the first 1 or 2 years of my business are no longer the offers that I'm choosing in this season of my life, just simply based on capacity and just simply based on the way that I want my life to look. And so really viewing everything from that lens of your life and like, what is the most supportive offer for me to be selling and scaling with to support my life? Because people will sell you, oh, you have to do one-on-one coaching in order to, scale to these really high cash months if you want to have spaciousness, or like, oh, you need to create a course and, set up a funnel and then your life is going to be easy and you're going to have passive income. And that is not the case whatsoever. And so I just want to kind of run through, just in my head as I'm thinking about different offers, the different trade-offs. And when I say cost isn't always bad, right? It doesn't always mean something that's bad. There's a cost to everything that you do, whether that's time, that's energy, that's money. There's a cost to everything in life, right? And it's just finding what cost makes the most sense for you and for the vision that you have for your life. So if you are saying, okay, I want to create a low-cost membership or a low-ticket membership, And maybe your vision is that this membership is going to be very hands-off in the way that you are building it. Maybe there's no live coaching, there's no Q&A. It's just going to be more of like a passive type of membership, and it's done with the goal of obviously building recurring revenue. Fantastic. I think that is a great idea. That being said, though, to have a low cost membership, if you're wanting to hit $5,000 months, $10,000 months, $50,000 months, that takes volume to fill that membership. And so not only are you going to need to get people inside that membership at a high volume in order to hit those higher ticket months, you're also going to need to keep people inside. You need to have a high retention rate, which is totally possible, but that really is the cost of running that low cost membership. And so while the cost for that low ticket membership might not be your time and energy, like coaching in there and answering questions and all of that, the cost is the marketing side of things. And so you need to think to yourself or ask yourself the question, organic marketing and paid marketing, do I want to, do that at a high volume in order to get people inside of this membership offer? Now, if you are like, hey, I want to create a course, and this course is going to be a passive course, and I'm going to sell it through a funnel. Great. I think that is a fantabulous idea. I'm all for funnels. I'm all for courses. That being said, though, with a funnel and also just with courses in general, okay, a course is you're going to create it, and then you're going to be able to basically set it aside and sell it. You might have to update it once or, I don't know, maybe 2 or 3 times a year. But for the most part, it's going to be more of a hands-off type of offer. And then your funnel is also similar to that, where it's going to need a little bit of maintenance here and there, definitely tweaks, as obviously you want that funnel to convert at the highest possible percentage. That being said, though, funnels, if we're talking average conversions, we're talking like anywhere between like 2 to 8%, and like 8% is like really, really, really high conversion for a funnel. And so again, that's the cost there is volume. You're needing a large amount of people to get into this funnel in order to convert those people into your course. And so where's that volume coming from? Is that coming from organic marketing, paid marketing? Is that coming from a little bit of both? Now, if we're talking coaching, well, the cost here is your energy and your time, right? That's your live time and energy. You only have so much of that to give on a day-to-day basis. And also that's going to fill up your calendar. And so you're not going to have space to do a lot of other things if you're taking on a high volume of one-on-one coaching clients, even if they're at that higher price point. And so that is, you're not needing as much volume of clients as you would if you were to, try and fill a funnel or try to sell like a low cost membership offer, because it's going to be at a higher price point. That being said, though, again, you're hopping on calls or you're doing chat support. And so it's just a little bit different there. And I actually saw an Instagram story from Abu Fofana, and I had the opportunity to meet him. Gosh, I want to say it was in 2022 at the Kajabi conference. When I spoke at the Kajabi conference, he was one of the speakers there as well. And he's fantastic. I absolutely love him. I love watching his stories because he always has such interesting and engaging and thought-provoking stories. But when I saw this story the other day, I had already wrote down the topic that I wanted for this episode, and I was like, oh my gosh, this fits so perfectly. So I screenshotted it. He said, you can take something of high value and attach a low price to it and sell it to many, or you can attach a high price to it and sell it to a few people. He says $20 a product times 1,000 people, or $2,000 a product times 100 people. You're making the same amount of money, but obviously you're either choosing the high volume of people or the lower volume of people with the higher price point. Price, perception, and value, such interesting ideas. And I couldn't agree more. All this to say, you can scale a business with any type of offer at any price point, but there are trade-offs to everything. So you really need to figure out which way of scaling best fits the life that you want to live in this season. And that might change in the future. You right now might want to do one-on-one coaching, and that is fantastic. In the future, maybe you want to do a little bit less one-on-one coaching and maybe tie in some of that passive income that does come through a funnel and have a little bit of both. There's no right or wrong answer here. But again, it's just like asking yourself, what do I want? And I think sometimes we don't actually stop and pause and give ourselves the space to actually figure out what we do want at the end of the day. Like, do you want an open calendar with, little to no sale or little to no calls? Well, maybe one-on-one coaching isn't the way to go, or maybe a mastermind that has a bunch of calls isn't the way to go. Or maybe you do want to do one-on-one coaching, but you want to structure it differently, right? And that's another thing too, is we can talk all about logistics. I'm not going to talk about that in here. I actually should write that down as another podcast episode of different logistic shifts that you can make in your offers. But you could shift that, right? So it's like, okay, I do want to do one-on-one coaching, but I don't want to have a bunch of calls on my calendar. Well, we can talk about chat support, or we can talk about giving one-on-one support in different ways. And so that's definitely something that could be an option for you as well. And so just asking yourself those questions, like, what do I want my calendar to look like? How many calls do I want to take on a weekly basis? How many hours do I want to work on a weekly basis? And, how much content do I want to be putting out? Do I want to do paid advertising? Do I not want to do paid advertising? And kind of figuring out that, and then figuring out, okay, well, based on what I want my life to look like and the things that I want to be spending my time and energy on, what types of offers are the best fit for that at the end of the day. And I think in 2026, and this is the same case for years prior, people are going to say, oh, you should do low ticket. This is the best way to scale. Or, oh, you should, start a membership. This is the best way to scale. Or, oh, you should do high ticket. This is the best way to scale. And I just want you to remember that you can scale with any of those options, but really just coming back to what is it that you want at the end of the day. I personally am team build an offer suite all day long, because it does give you the best of both worlds. I do have low ticket as well as high ticket. My lowest ticket offer right now is $17, whereas my highest ticket offer is my one-on-one coaching packages, which have a range, but anywhere between, $6,000 up to $15,000, depending on the package there. And so again, I have the best of both worlds, in my opinion. So that's why I always team offer suite. But that also fits the lifestyle that I want to live, and the way that I want my calendar to be, and how many hours I want to work. And so that is what works for me in this season. But I just really want you to sit and ask yourself, moving into 2026, even if you already have offers created, maybe you're like, I'm already doing one-on-one coaching, I already have a course. Okay, but does that support the life that you want to live? Because I can promise you that just because you have an offer that's already created, and just because it's worked in the past, doesn't necessarily mean that that's something you have to continue doing in the future. And I am team letting offers go and pivoting all day long, because at the end of the day, that is how you build the most aligned business, and that is truly how you scale. Every single thing that you create is not going to be the thing that ultimately gets you to where you want to go. It's just all stepping stones, and you really are on this journey of figuring out not just what's best for you, but also what's best for your clients too. And I've let a lot of offers that are amazing, amazing offers that my clients have had amazing transformations with. I've let a lot of them go, meaning that I no longer sell them in my business, even though they're really, really great offers. But it's because it's not aligned with the way that I want to build my business, and also not aligned with the ultimate transformation that I really want to support my clients with. And so when I very first started my business, and kind of going off on a little tangent here, but stick with me, when I very first started my business, I really supported people who were at the beginning of their journey, who were just starting their business, who had no offers created. And so I had the online blueprint where I taught you how to create offers. I no longer sell the online blueprint. It's just not aligned with the client that I want to work with. And it's not to say that, one client is better than the other. That's not the case. But I want to work with people who already have somewhat of an establishment, and they want to, scale that. And so these people that I work with now have offers already created. And so now it's really laying out the foundation. They've already laid out the foundation, but it's really taking that foundation and systemizing it and automating it, and really getting strategic about the offer suite and how we set things up in their world and the marketing aspect of it to be able to help them to scale to 5K, 25K, and 50K months. And so my offer suite has changed over time. My offer focus has changed over time. The offers that I've had the main focus on have changed over time. Like in 2025, my main offer focus was IG University. Now in 2026, my main offer focus is scalability, and that just better fits the vision that I have, the transformation that I want to provide for my people, and ultimately the clients that I want to call into my world. So don't be afraid to let offers go, even if they have served you in the past. Like the online blueprint for me, that was an over $100,000 offer. It sold really, really well, but it just simply it's just not aligned anymore, and that's okay. And it doesn't mean that didn't serve its purpose in the season. It totally did, but it also helped me to get to where I am today, knowing that that's no longer who the offer that I want to sell. So I hope that this gives you some ideas, and just thinking, everything's a trade-off at the end of the day, and it doesn't mean that cost is bad, but you just got to figure out what cost makes the most sense for you.